Rav Elchanan Wasserman wrote in a letter a story about the Hafetz Chaim 2 years before he passed away. He said the rabbi gathered together the greats of the generation, and he said in front of them the following Tana de Eliyahu: Lo gilgel hakadosh baruch hu vehevi paras umadai leolam ela bischaro shel kodesh shehaya boche umitanach b'sha'a shechriv Nebuchadnezzar et Bet HaMikdash. He said Hashem only brought into the world these nations of paras umadai as a reward for kodesh, because he cried and sighed at the time that Nebuchadnezzar was destroying the Bet HaMikdash. And the Hafetz Chaim said there was this goy by the name of Kodesh. He heard Nebuchadnezzar's destroying the Bet HaMikdash, the Jewish temple, and he shed a tear. He said at the time this kid was 7 years old, and in the zechut of his one tear, he rose to power. He ended up destroying the nation of Bavel, who destroyed the Bet HaMikdash. He killed Belshazzar, who was the grandson of Nebuchadnezzar, and he began the construction of the second Bet HaMikdash. As Chazal say, whoever cries over Yerushalayim will be zocheh to see its rebuilding. And the Hafetz Chaim told the people, he said, what is Chazal telling us with this? He says, this goy who doesn't even know what the Bet HaMikdash is, he was probably crying because it was a nice building that had a lot of gold in it, and he cried over it. And he says that if this is what happens to somebody who cries for just the structure, imagine if we cry actually over what it represented, over the deaths of the people who were in it. Imagine we feel any amount of guilt or remorse over the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have his house. This is what he told the people that day, trying to arouse some feeling about what we lost, what we should be feeling. The Mesilat Yesharim writes that a person is supposed to be mit'aveh lege'ulah, something we should be desiring, because it'll be an ilui for the kavod of Hashem Yitbarach. He says, you know how much nachat ruach Hashem gets if any of his children would just ask, please Hashem, we want you. We want to live with you. We want you to be next to us again. We want you to have your house back in this world. How much nachat ruach when a father sees that his child cares. The pasuk says in Shira Shirim, Ani yeshena v'libi ed. Rashi says Ani yeshena is referring to us, the Jewish people. We're sleeping. When we're sleeping from serving Hashem, we're not doing our job. But libi ed, Hashem says, my heart is awake. My heart is there to protect you, to give you, to help you. Kol dodi dofek, the voice of our beloved Hashem is knocking on the door. He's begging us, please, pithili, ahodi rayati. How much terms of endearment does he have? Please open the door for me. Allow me to come in. All I want to do is be next to you. Shiroshi nimlatal. My head is filled with dew. He says that means that a person comes to his beloved in the early morning. He can't wait to see him when the dew is coming down. And what do we say? Pashatati, pashati et kutonti. Hashem, we already took off our shirt. Echacha el bashena. How can I put it back on to serve you now? I'm already relaxing. Rahatzti et raglai. I already washed my feet. Echacha tanefem. Now I'm going to go get them dirty again. This is our response. We're relaxing. Leave us alone. We're happy. We're enjoying. You want me to go get dirty now? You want me to sit on the floor? You want me to do this? And what does Hashem say? Dodi shalach yado min achor. I see a hand. I see something. I see your hand. I see maybe I could latch onto something. And Hashem, He arouses us. But He gives us chizuk, that we should have some type of feeling in order to finally bring Him back. We all need chizuk. We need something. It's hard for us. We're wrapped up in our own lives where we have so many things on our minds. It's hard for us to think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the rabbis tell us that our avodah, one of our avodot, is to feel for our Father. Not only to be worried about ourselves. We're supposed to be looking at our Father as if He's in jail. I saw one of the Tiferet, forgot who it was, he said, imagine his son comes to visit his father in jail, and he says, Dad, look what I'm doing all the things that his father likes. But he says, what are you doing to get me out of here? Are you trying to save me? He says, all of our intentions when we do mitzvot, when we learn Torah, should be Lishma Hashem. I'm doing it so you could come back. I'm having kavanah. I'm going to do X, Y, or Z so you could have your house again. I want to correct the problem so you could come back. Kaviyachol, like Hashem needs us. We have to have a feeling that He's in jail. He's waiting for us to take Him out. So what do? I was just reading. We were reading in the Kinot. Sometimes Hashem sends us messages. He sends us signs, things that take place. They're supposed to click in our minds. We're supposed to have feeling. What we saw this past year on October 7th was ringing a bell when I was reading this Kina this morning on what happened during the destruction. Yom Set Betulot Mehech Lehen. It was the day that the maidens were driven out of their palaces. Ve'imot Shechulot Me'ol Lehen. Mothers were bereaved of their children. Arumot Shelulot Biyad Sholalehen, stripped naked and bruised by their plunderers. Yom HaSevachar Abalehen, the day wailing overcame them. Yom Ol Naseu Bimkom Halehen, a yoke instead of their jewels. Shivuyot Herev Biyad Nohagehen, and they became captives of war at the hands of their captors. We experienced the semblance of what it was like in that terrible, terrible time of destruction. What is it supposed to do to us? Hashem is always sending us messages. What do we do with them? I saw last week someone sent out some statistics of what is going on today with our own brothers in Eretz Yisrael. From Simchat Torah until today, there was already more than 1,600 of our brothers and sisters who passed away. 1,600 lives, where every life of a Jew is more valuable to Hashem than anything. One life is like a whole world. A life is more precious. It's like a Sefer Torah being burnt when a soul gets taken away. 1,600, and then we hear another soldier and another this, and I'm talking to myself, but we become desensitized. Oh, another one. You know what happens when a death takes place? How many people it affects, the families, the widows, the orphans. How many people are suffering? from these 1,600 nishamot that have been taken away. That's besides for the 20,000 pitsuim, the 20,000 people who have become injured. And injured doesn't mean that his hand is bruised. Injured means some are missing hands, some are missing legs, some are missing eyes. They're paralyzed. Their family's spirits are shattered. They can't sleep at night. They have the trauma of what they went through. Thousands and thousands of people whose lives will never be the same. And this is besides the over 100,000 people who are not sleeping in their own beds as we speak. They're not able to stay in their own house. They had to run away. And they're not eating at their own tables. They have no menucha. And when we're sitting here, Baruch Hashem, we have so much blessing. But we have to realize hundreds of thousands of people are suffering right now at the moment. How many people, how many thousands of soldiers are worried every second about their lives? And how many tens of thousands of parents, of mothers and fathers, every time their phone rings, they're nervous. Is my son okay? Did something just happen? No rest at night. No rest during the day. They're on edge at all times. This is what's going on right before our eyes today. I saw Rabbi Menashe Reisman, he quoted from Rabbi Yechezkel Levenstein. Before the war in 1967, he was giving chizuk to Klal Yisrael. He was telling them, what should we do? What should we be doing to help our brothers? To help our family? What does Hashem want from us? And he told them, he said, you know what Hashem wants right now? Hashem loves His children. He wants you to be noseh be'ol im havero. He wants you to empathize with them. He wants you to feel their pain. He wants you to know what they're going through. And He wants you to do something about it. We all know when the Jewish people were in Mitzrayim, getting slaughtered and beaten day and night, Moshe Rabbeinu, he was in the palace of Paro. He had everything he could ever want, all the comforts of life, sleeping in a nice bed, 3 meals catered. And what did Moshe Rabbeinu do? When his brothers are out in the field, the Midrash says he went out and he said, he looked at them and he said, I wish I could die. I wish I could get beaten instead of you. I feel so bad for you. Please, let me carry that for you. Put that on my shoulder. It's too heavy for you. And Moshe went out, vayar besivlotam. He went out and he saw. He understood what they're going through. He could have stayed in the palace and said, let me say a couple of perakim of Tehillim for them. I hope they'll be okay. And move on. But that's not what he did. He said, how could I enjoy the comforts of life when my brothers are suffering? How could I sit here in my bed and enjoy myself when my brothers are suffering? It says about the entire Shevet Levi. The entire Shevet Levi, they didn't have to serve. They weren't slaves in Mitzrayim. So it says, during one of the censuses, it says, Ele Rashe bet avotam, bnei Reuven, bnei Shimon, ve'ele shemot bnei Levi. The Shelah Kadosh says, what does that mean? Ve'ele shemot. Why is they throwing in the word shemot? He says, because you know what Levi did? Levi, they didn't have to work. Levi was doing something very important, just as important, of course, much more important. They were carrying the nation with their learning of Torah. But they said, we can't forget about what our brothers are going through. And they named every one of their children. They named their children after the suffering that was going on in Mitzrayim. They looked at their child and they said, Gereshon, Gerim, our brothers are Gerim. Merari, our brothers are going through such bitterness. Every time they called their child's name, Kehat, Al Shinehem Kehot. Our brothers, they're becoming so weak. Every time they call their child's name, they're remembering the sad of what they're going through. Life can't be regular when there's so much troubles and sarot going on. This is what Rabbi Levinstein said that Hashem wants from us. When Hashem saw that Moshe Rabbeinu went and he left his comforts and he went out to see what was happening, that's when it says, Hashem told him, you left your comforts to go out and share the burden of your brothers. I am going to leave the comforts of the heavens and I'm going to come down to you in this world and I'm going to help you and I'm going to redeem you. And this is the mercy that we need today. We need to show Hashem we care. We care about your children. We care about you. And Hashem says, you care? If you care about me, then I'll come down and I'm going to help you. We have to do something practically. Everyone has to think about, what are we doing? What are you doing about this? Part of the reason it says that most of the world has so much bounty in the end of days is because Hashem wants us to yearn for Mashiach and yearn for Him, not because of trouble, just because we want Him. But if it doesn't happen, then whatever it will take, Hashem wants us to yearn. One of the zechuyot that the rabbis are telling us we can use is the zechut of caring about people and caring about Hashem. One of the reasons of the Khurban, Sinat Hinam, people hating each other, which we're still plagued today. How much strife, animosity over the very words of Torah, which Hashem says, I want you to love each other. Those same words we're fighting over. And people tell me I can't go to my in-laws this week because he's going to be there. I don't see eye to eye. I can't. I hate him. There's a hatred of religious to non-religious and non-religious to religious. Is that what Hashem wants? You're a servant of Hashem. He wants you to hate someone. When Moshe Rabbeinu went out into the fields to help his brothers, who was he going to help? How much religion did they have at that time? The Midrash says that all of those Jews, they all had what's called bilorit. Their hairstyles was like an avodah zarah hairstyle. None of them had berit milah. They were violating the berit of Avraham Avinu. They were wearing kilayim, it says. They were so engrossed in the culture of Egypt. And that's what Moshe said, I wish I could die for you. I wish I could help you. Our greats had so much ahavat Yisrael. They didn't agree on philosophies, but their love was unparalleled. For someone to say, I don't agree, that's okay. But to say, I can't be in the room with him, that's asur. I saw a line. This Rabbi Reisman from Israel said a line, one of the greatest lines I ever read. He said, people have hatred. How could he think like that? How could he do that? What are these people? They don't have any religion. How could they act like that? He says, we don't understand the ways of Hashem. But we know for a fact, Hashem decides which neshamot go into which homes. Where everybody is born and raised is decided by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And some people are born into families that have no religion. And you know why they're not religious? Because that's what they were born into. And their fathers hated religion, and that's why they hate it. And some people are born into households with philosophies that think one way. And you know why they have so much conviction over that philosophy? Because that's what they learned growing up. And you know why you think like you do? Because Hashem put you in your environment. And if you would have been in His house, you would be thinking like Him. And you would have the same philosophies and ideas. And now you're going to hate Him because Hashem put Him in that environment? We have to think about this. We have to think about if we're really true servants of Hashem and we really care about Him. And He tells us, the reason why I destroyed my house and the reason why I'm in jail is because of this sin'ah that people have. And you care about Him. Then you'll get rid of this sin'ah. And you'll say, Hashem, I want to do something in the zechut of all the people that are suffering today. I want to do something in your zechut. Because I don't want you to be in jail. I don't want you to be roaming. In the zechut of you, Hashem, I love you. I'm gonna get along with this person. I'm gonna be nice. That would be a great zechut. For someone to break a hatred. We have to be noseh be'ol. We have to correct the sins that have caused this khurban. There are people who are the cause, lo alenu, of suffering. I hear from people all over the world. People call with questions on emunah, but sometimes they're much deeper than that. And I don't know how many ladies have said how they feel, how they're so alone. Their husbands are not there for them. They're working 20 hours a day, and when they're home, they're on their phones. They don't even look at them. They have no attention. And these women feel like widows, live widows. How about being noseh be'ol with your own family? If we can show more concern, we care about people's feelings, we care what they're going through, care about our own family, show interest in your wife. Is everything okay? How's things? Call her. Why should people have to suffer for nothing? There's so many things we could do. Rava said in the Gemara, he said, Alma nechrav habayit. Why was the house of Hashem destroyed? He said, Bishvil shepasku mimena anshe amana. Because honest people are not here anymore. We lost the anshe emunah. Amana. Amana means they don't steal. They're honest in business. In the last 2 weeks, 3 different people told me they were cheated out of money from a fellow Jew. You know how much suffering they're going through now? Money they thought they had that they lost. Do we care? Gezel is one of the worst averot. Do we care about Hashem? The reason of the khurban, one of the reasons, was because of dishonesty, causing other people suffering. What are we doing about this? Everyone has to think about, Hashem, I know you're in charge of Parinasa. I don't have to do anything wrong. I'm going to stop this. L'shem shamayim. If we have any care for the kavod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we have to fix these issues, the issues that were the cause of the Khurban, and do them for His honor. It says in another Gemara that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. It says in Masechet Shabbat, because of Chilul Shabbat, the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. So many things. Shabbat is the sign between us and Hashem that He created the world. It's a berit that He made with us. It's our secret seal, our secret passcode between us and Hashem, that He created the world. That's what we're doing every time we keep Shabbat. Can we improve in our observance of Shabbat? There's so many halachot. Every one of them is a heavy, heavy weight in Torah. There's many things we could improve on. But we have to make the move. We have to say, Hashem, I know how difficult it is in the world today. I know how much people are suffering. I want to do something about it. I want to be noseh be'ol. I want to bear some of the weight. Hashem, I know you want to be next to us. You want to live in your house. I want to help you in the zichut that you should come back, and in the zichut that the people suffering in the world should stop. I'm going to do this. I'm going to end this fight. I'm going to give back this money. I'm going to pay more attention to people. Do something and make Hashem proud of us. That's what this day is about. Thinking about what we're doing wrong, why we didn't fix it, why is Hashem still in exile, and actually commit to doing something. If everyone will say one thing, Hashem, I'm going to do this to help this situation, Eretz Yisrael. Any moment, lo alenu, we don't know what could be. But what counts the most? Us. Our deeds. That's what wins everything. We know Hashem guides every missile. Hashem decides where this one goes, where that one goes. What does it depend on? It depends on us. So let us all think of the sa'ar of our Father who's yearning. Kol dodi dofek. He's yelling, please, my beloved, I love you. Please, let me in. Let me come back. I want to be with you. I want to give you so much. Please fix these things. It could be so easy. I'll conclude. I was trying to mediate over a dispute, and we finally got down to the end of it. All the other persons, if he says sorry, I'll end it all. And the other guy said, no, I will not say I'm sorry. Just say the 2 words. It's all over. I can't do it. Do it for Hashem. Say, Hashem, I'm doing it for you. I know you want shalom. I'll say it. Whatever needs to be done, I'll say it. If we can do that, if we could show interest in Hashem's kavod, then Hashem says, you're leaving your comforts. You're doing something uncomfortable. For me, I'm going to come down. I'm going to leave my comforts in heaven. I'm going to come down and I'm going to save you. Be'ezrat Hashem, we should see the Geulah Shelema. Amen.